Hello, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
Where are we today?
We're still sheltering in place.
In place. Everyone
Yes.
in its own place.
hmm
Not in a single place, unfortunately.
But we've got gin martinis and white claws, so everything's not so bad.
How many white claws do you still have left?
This is it. This is the last one.
It's the last one. Then you have to grow up once that you're done with that. So, what movie did we watch this week? Do you want to introduce it? Do you want me to introduce it?
I can introduce it, although I feel a bit unprepared because I know nothing about Asian cinema. We watched the 2018 psychological drama Burning.
Why is it psychological? Is it because it has some kind of psychoanalysis over you, over the audience, or what is it? What is that kind of movie called psychological?
I think because it makes you think, and it makes you think about the psychology of the people that you're watching.
Okay, okay, no, that's fair. So it's a bit more like character driven, like seek on the seek of the characters. Okay.
I guess. Not that I'm an expert or anything.
All right. So 2018. Do you know what? Why did you pick this movie? Because this one was your choice.
Uh, there's not a big, impressive reason behind it. I looked for a list of the best movies available on Netflix during the pandemic,
Oh, okay. And this was there.
but it was in the New Yorker, so I knew it was going to be like good stuff. And
Okay.
I hadn't heard anything about this, and I said, let's just do it. Let's watch this.
So you didn't know anything about the story.
Nothing. Nope. I did read that
Okay.
it was a psychological thriller. So,
Yeah. So I think that is I. It's my turn to start talking about it. I think I should
yes,
open.
but I would like to share with you the Google definition of psychological thriller,
Please do.
which is a genre that is commonly used to describe movies and books that deal with psychological narratives in a thrilling setting, which was certainly Burning.
Okay. So basically, any thriller is a psychological movie.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know, but sure. Yeah, it is a psychological movie. So as it's my turn, just for defining what is the movie about before the starting, like going into if I like it or not. It's a movie that is also the third movie in a row that we picked that it lasts more than 2 hours.
Well, we've got more time than we have anything else.
That's no, that's absolutely true. And it's a movie that the first hour nothing happens, then you don't know if something happens or not, and in the last 30 seconds something happens.
And that is what I knew about this movie was that it was a slow burn with a dramatic end, and I was like, that's my jam.
Sure, but I'll look. Okay, so I think that the movie is okay. I won't say that I disliked it, but I didn't like it in a way that I'm going to remember it. So as we're talking about like the factors that we actually take into consideration for scoring a movie, and we're talking about like how memorable a movie is, I don't think that this is a movie that is memorable.
Go on.
So from my perspective is that I can see that this is not only like the thriller about like so the story is about this guy that is he doesn't have like any kind of goal in life. His father is about to get into prison because he has some kind of anger fit and attack a public servant. And he's just decided to move to his childhood house. So randomly he runs into this
It's a
girl.
farm. He has to take care of the farm.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like he's going to be like taking care of the farm at all. He's just there and he only sells the only cattle that he had.
Yep.
So, but he randomly runs into this girl that they used to live next to each other. Basically, they're like childhood, not friends, but childhood acquaintance.
Yep.
And this girl, I want to hear how would you define this girl? But this girl is just looking for knowledge in the world. He wants to just discover herself. And then they meet for circumstances of life is that they end up having sex, but then the girl meets this guy that is very clearly high class society in South Korea. And it looks like he has a crush on him, but clearly the guy doesn't have a honest interest in her. But it clearly she doesn't care too much about it, or she doesn't want to pay attention to this, while the guy
Why
actually
do you say that? Why
catches
do you say
that.
that he didn't have a a real interest in her.
because he actually jones when he's like when she's just doing this dance, and just trying to get the attention of everyone of his friends, and they're like just like outwardly just like, haha, well, this girl that she's not as sophisticated as us, but she's doing this African dance for us, and he's
Man,
yawning at that
you're
point.
projecting so much of your own stuff onto that
No,
scene.
no, because actually he jumps again, and it's the point is like the camera work is like so obviously so heavy-handed on this movie. How he's like just when he goes to the restroom and he finds like all the mementos from other girls. How he's like just talking about like I love burning greenhouses and I do it every 2 months, and they're always like just focusing on the face like there is something disturbing. He's not talking about greenhouses, guys. He's not talking about greenhouses. So at that or is he? Maybe. But at that point, it's like the camera work and the directing is like just leaving very few things to the imagination. So when the guy jumps, they repeat that scene towards the end, you know, when he has a new love interest, and he also invites her to the group of friends, to the family gathering that they had, well, the friends gathering that they had, and when she's talking about how Chinese people are deplorable or whatever word she's using, he's joining again about like, well, this is something that I have to go through for earning, their trust, so I'm going to murder her eventually.
Oh my god. We couldn't disagree about this film more.
Okay, yeah.
You think that he was a serial killer?
He was a psychopath. Yeah, he was a completely sociopath.
And what proof do you have?
I don't, but that's the thing is that the movie tries to play a lot with like, okay, we're going to be like presenting you this character as the most deplorable human being that you can imagine. As he says, well, I didn't get sick because my DNA was superior, and how he actually just looks at everything and everyone around him like with this kind of superiority complex.
I completely disagree. He was genuinely a kind and nice guy.
Stephen Young, like the other guy,
Ben.
Ben? Okay,
Yeah.
Stephen Young is the actor. It's like, do you think that he was a kind guy?
Yeah, he was super kind. I agree that the filmmaker wanted you to wonder, so he gave clues that maybe he's a bad guy and clues that maybe he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I think ultimately everything was in the main guy's head.
I thought about that possibility, about, okay, maybe this is about the complex of someone that is in a low middle class and they know that they are stuck in there, and they can never get out of that. So it's going to be like projecting their insecurities into the other guy that is completely rich. But when you're saying that it's like kind-hearted and a nice guy, how would you actually define when he asks them point blank, is like, what did you do for a living? It's like, I wouldn't going to explain it to you because you wouldn't understand it. Is that something that a nice and kind-hearted person could say?
I think it's ambiguous, like almost everything. But think about when he was spying on him. Think about this. The other guy, I can't pronounce his name, was literally camping outside that guy's house. And
Sure.
when the guy found out, he's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Come have dinner with me and my friends." Come on. That's not like a jerk.
It sounds like the kind of sociopath that it doesn't I mean, this is like what it tells you. Is like, you are not concerned about someone finding out that you are burning greenhouses. It's like, I'm not going to get caught. I'm better than that. So he doesn't have any kind of worry or anything. It's like he's going to be like, oh, it's this guy. I don't care. It's like, I don't have the cars at my house, so he can go home. He even has the mementos like pretty easily to be found.
The mementos of what?
The mementos of other girls in the
But he hangs
past.
out with women all the time, and you just make the assumption he's a serial killer?
Okay, so he's actually hanging out with girls that he's not really interested in. Girls that even when he asks the girl, when he asks, what's her name, Jaime, I think that it was the girl.
Jaime, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, why is this guy interested in you?
So then why would Ben meet the other guy when the other guy calls him and is like, "Oh, I have Jaime. Come meet us."
That's the part that I don't understand, and I think that he was going to be like
Because
just
you're
facing.
wrong. Your idea about these characters are wrong.
No, it's the point that he was saying. That probably is going to be like, I think that is the kind of person that he could actually acknowledge that is like, I kill her. If you ask him like point blank, I was like, what is her? He's like, I kill her.
I don't think he killed her.
So what do you think that happened with her?
I think Occam's razor is probably what we have to go to here. And he went and talked to her family, and people disappeared all that time to get away from their credit card debts. And her family said that she had a tremendous amount of credit card debt and she wasn't allowed to come home until she paid them off.
Look, I understand that the film is trying to be ambiguous about it, but at the same time, it tries to be like pretty heavy-handed towards a specific interpretation. Now, the other part, wait a second. The other part, you remember that we're talking about A Christmas Tale, how all the females, according to the director, all the females in France, they think that they are ugly at some point of their lives or right now, even they are stunning. So all the females in this movie, the director wants me to think that it's like all females in South Korea, they overspend in a lot of money. They just get themselves into debt and they don't know how to get out of it in a responsible way. Because the main character, the main girl, is that she actually is in debt. They never tell you that she's in debt. They actually tell you she has been saving. The first time that they tell you is that she's in debt is when he talks with the family.
Right.
But before that is like she actually says like, hey, I've been just saving for a very long time, and I'm going to be like just going there. I'm going to be going to Africa for
You
just a
don't think she put that
self-discovery.
trip to Africa on a credit card because she could afford to travel internationally with her job from dancing from
Dancer
stores?
for a store?
Come
Maybe.
on.
I don't know, but it's like you don't know how long has he been saving. It's like maybe she has been saving for 5 years. When I
I don't
started
know, man.
working, when I started working, I had like a really, 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 really shitty pay, and I actually could afford, after saving for a very long time, I could afford like traveling to the States.
But she actively told lies.
Which
Even her
lies?
family, the whole story about the well, and her family's like,
But
that
don't you
never
think?
happened.
But don't you think that, for example, they also play with the ambiguity when he asks the mother, "Is like, hey, you remember the house in front of ours?"
Yeah, agree.
I
I
she's like,
completely agree. They're playing with ambiguity through the entire thing, but I think you think there are answers in the movie, and I think the entire
no,
movie
no, no,
is about
no,
asking questions and not having the answers.
no. I mean, I would say that they present the character in such a heavy-handed way as a sociopath that is like, sure, I'm going to go with Occam's razor. Exactly what you said. If I actually have two different answers, two different possibilities, and one of them is that this guy is fucking insane and he has been killing other girls, and especially they give me a scene where he is like just doing the makeup of the other girl, and the other girl is like in a very tense situation of the new love interest that is like, this girl knows that something bad is about to happen, is that they are just looking at my face and saying that is like, yeah, this guy is a killer. But we're ambiguous. We're never going to be like just saying he's a killer. We're going to say like this guy is pretty disturbing. You just think whatever you want.
I think it's astonishing that there's no proof. He only did good things. Maybe he said a couple snide things, but he was hospitable. He was generous. And there's an actual real killer in the movie, and it's the other guy who stabbed him to death and then burned him in his car. Which
Don't
one
you
is he?
think? Don't
Which
you
one is
think?
the bad person? You're putting
Sure.
all of
No, wait a second. So don't you think that, for example, when he's
that
killing
was a spoiler
him,
alert, by the way. I apologize
the way
to
have been
all
spoiling
5 people
this,
who listen
yeah,
to this.
yeah, 5. You're being pretty generous. So don't you think when he's actually stabbing him, he starts hugging him for a second, and I think that when he puts like his hand on his heart, that is like now you're hearing that bass that he was mentioning earlier. So I had a feeling that is like he's a killer the whole time. Even like the discussion that they had, it's true. It's true that the director tries to play with the idea of, oh well, maybe it's ambiguous. But when he was even talking about, okay, I actually checked all the greenhouses, none of them was burned. And he's saying like, well, I burn one every 2 months. Wink, wink. Greenhouse is a woman. Wink, wink. He said, come on,
Man,
man. I'm sorry, but it
we
makes
can't even
no
agree what this
sense.
movie was about.
No, no. I mean, what I think is that the movie is a bit about of a lot of different stuff, but I think that at the same time, it's like the message that I get about is a bit about like the difference in class in South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of class
Yeah,
relations, and which I hesitate even saying that because it doesn't feel heavy-handed when it comes to that. In fact, it's very nicely done, um, and there's a lot of kind of focus on the legacy, like the hand we've been dealt. Like Ben obviously must have inherited his wealth, and
yeah,
the other guy inherited having to leave his home to go to his family home and take care of a shitty farm because of the poor decisions of the father.
yeah.
Also, there's mental illness in his family. We don't know anything about Ben's family. Um, but I would, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just going to say that the only thing that we know is that the whole family has money when they are having dinner in that nice place that it basically is a museum. that the restaurant is in the middle of the museum, that it sounds just ridiculous, and the house is like, it's pretty clear that he has money.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
no, definitely.
the whole family, not only him, So from that perspective, is that they put it in a situation that is okay. Poor people are going to be responsible with what they do, or they have to deal with the hand that they're given. And rich people, they're assholes, regardless if they're murderers or not. But it's like I don't see anything from Ben that I would say like he's a nice guy. Nothing.
Well, agree to disagree.
Well, I mean, the thing is like the thing, for example, when he's telling him at the end about like, okay, I saw the Jaime considering you like someone really, really special, and that was the first time in my whole life that I felt jealousy. Or when he says, they say, I cannot cry. I never cried in my life. I guess that maybe sometime I was sad, but I never. He's like, come on. He's like that. Basically, is like whoever wrote the script, he was like just for checking what is the definition of a sociopath. He's like, oh, someone that cannot relate to human emotions. He's like, that's it. That's how I'm going to be like writing this character, and I'm going to be like just rubbing it on their face. He's like, I cannot cry. I cannot feel emotions. I was surprised that I was jealous. That's why he killed it. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't say that.
What did you say? I didn't hear what you were saying.
I was saying that it's like that's why I kill her. It's like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that. But I'm going to be like killing this woman. Don't worry, because it has been 2 months. It's time for me to kill one. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I understand what he's trying to do, but I think that is a failed attempt at that. And it's like 2 hours and a half. Is that this is way too long. They could have removed everything about the father. They could have said that the father died, and I will be fine with it.
I think they needed that for the class relations.
You think? I mean, don't you think that, for example, if the father had died and then the mother showed up, wouldn't that be enough?
It could be. So we wildly disagree on how good this movie is because I thought it was stunning, 100% stunning. I couldn't believe how compelling it was, how well he crafted atmosphere and horror and tension and this menace that was there all the time. There was always menace, and you couldn't tell when it was actually going to
Want to go to Hughes?
Yeah, when the dam was going to break, and then it did, and it was so fucking satisfying. I mean, you won't feel satisfied that you got answers, but you're like, yep, this is the horrific thing I've been waiting for. And that scene, the entire scene where the three of them are at his farmhouse, that was like master strokes. That was incredible. The entire thing, her dancing to the jazz, the conversations that they had when she went to bed and it was just the two of them, it was all just stunning.
All right. I mean, I just feel okay. For you, this actually worked. For me, I was never engaged with the movie. For
really?
The first hour,
I had a hard time looking away.
I was looking at my phone for most of it. For the first,
well, that's why you don't understand the movie.
For the first 90 minutes to 2 hours, I was just completely disconnected from it. It was like, look, I like that Asian cinema sometimes likes to take their time, and just take it slow. It's that this. I don't see it. I mean, it's like you're not doing additional character development here. It's like you're basically just repeating the same thing over and over. It's like, wait a second, have I been enough ambiguous? No, wait a second, we can do another iteration of this. It's like, I didn't feel peace, but it's like it's a movie that is going to be like the other one that we were talking about the other day of the guy that goes to a farm and he has this affair with a guy. This British movie, Iris.
Oh yeah.
That we didn't even remember that we watched. Is that that's exactly what I feel already about this movie.
Wow. Yeah, no, I thought it was outstanding. Just
okay.
Outstanding.
No, that's great. I thought that it was beautifully shot.
It was really, really beautifully shot. I was very impressed. Like the cinematography and the framing of each shot was just amazing. What else has this guy done?
So he did other movies that I had that I don't know: Secret Sunset, Poetry, Peppermint Candy, Oasis.
Apparently, he's very well respected, but I don't know Asian cinema, so I couldn't listen.
No. Look, maybe just flew over my head or something, but it's like I can tell you, it's like I couldn't. I even thought it when I was like an hour into it. It's like I don't know. I think that there is going to be a murder happening. That's the reason why I opened with like you wait for an hour for something to happen, then you don't know if it happens or not, and then it ends with something happening. But at the same time, I feel like it's not the kind of thing that is like, okay, there is one hint in one direction, there is a hint in another direction. It's like, what is going to happen next? It's like, I think that that kind of format with that slow pace, unless you are like really good from a narrative perspective, you're going to be like losing part of the audience. They're not going to be engaged.
I need you to ask your friend in Spain to watch this.
Sergio,
Yes. Ask
why?
him to watch it, and then
I will.
I'm interested in hearing a second opinion, since the
Sure.
first opinion is clearly wrong.
I mean, I just saw that the New York Times gave a New York critics tick, so I don't know if respecting your opinion or not here, you know.
No,
But
I mean I'm not saying you're wrong, but this has basically universally amazing reviews. Universally? Yeah.
look, I don't disagree. I see that it has a 90 on Metacritic and a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe that was not the time for me to watch it, but I didn't watch it on a single sitting. I started watching it, I watched like an hour of it, and then it was the remaining, like the hour and a half remaining.
That's like cheating.
It's not cheating. You were working, but you were watching this movie, so shut up.
I
Or
was
you were
working.
supposed to work.
I was sheltering in place.
That's whatever you want to call it. So I'm sorry, but it's like for me, it didn't work. I see what they're trying to do, but it's like I just feel like it doesn't come together for me. So it's
But at
like
the very least, it's interesting that we disagree so much, and I don't think a normal movie, a mediocre movie, could do that.
I don't think that is mediocre. I think there is a good movie, but I don't think there is a stellar movie for me, from my opinion. I think that it doesn't succeed on actually just capturing my attention in the way that this movie would require for just achieving that kind of paragon. Let's say.
Also, did it remind you a lot of that Korean movie that just blew everyone away?
Parasite.
Yes.
I mean, I would say that it also talks about class, but Parasite, it starts not taking itself too seriously, and
And
it
also,
embraces.
the poor, bitter man ends up murdering the nice rich guy.
Well, sure, but the thing is, look, for example, the family that they portray in Parasite, it is more genuinely nicer than this guy. This guy is not nice. This guy actually looks down on other people.
He does not, like, you are reading that. That is your read.
Don't you think that actually he goes because how would you define? Actually, I wanted to ask you this: how would you define Jaime? You had to define the character.
She was like a, what is that super ditzy character in Harry Potter? Luna
I didn't read the Harry
Moonblood?
Potter books.
You
They are
didn't?
for chills. They're for children.
But we were children when the first one came out.
No, you were children. I was growing up when the first one came out. You were younger. Remember this?
Um, no, I mean, she is stereotypically stupid. There's not a lot of intelligence there.
Okay.
And she, just from like character clues, she's irresponsible. She's not good with money.
Hmm.
Um, she's not that connected to reality.
Okay. So you would say that it's a person that is not. So if you have someone else that is like a very educated person, there's like a lot of money, do you think that it would be normal for that person or, expected, let's just say like normally or socially expected for that person to just be attracted to someone as you describe?
But remember how they met. They were stuck together at a terrorist
Okay.
church for
So
3 days, and
we
they
don't
came
know.
back together and hung out a little bit after their trip. That's it.
Okay. Do you know how would you define the other girl that he's interested in? The second
We
love
don't know
interest.
anything about her except she's a shop worker. She
It's a,
works in a shop.
but the conversation that they have together when they are with the family, with the friends gathering, is like what kind of, I don't know, like
Oh, I thought
impression
you
do
were
you
talking
get
about
from
the
her?
one that comes to meet him for tea.
But that's the same girl that shows up later when they are looking for the cat and they had the friend gathering at her apartment, at his apartment.
And she was talking about how she wanted to date a Chinese man because they like women and not money.
And he
So
also
ask him how.
jones, and he also jones when this girl is talking. But it's pretty clear that those girls, they are from a different world than him and his friends.
I don't know, man. So you think all of his friends are actually just like in on his murdering?
I don't think that they're in the loop, that they're in the loop or something like that. But the feeling that I had when he was like just joning, about like just looking at her about like, oh yeah, look at her just dancing, and just joning about like, sure, let's let her do her thing.
But he
He's like,
yawned and he also had like a super authentic smile. That smile where the muscles that you can't actually fake unless you're a really good actor.
I look no. I had the feeling that he's like just very practical. Look, this is actually what a sociopath would do. He would actually just practice those muscles. He would just practice that smile, but he wouldn't be able to actually just practice a jump.
So you think that he was so self-assured about his capabilities that he could steal her cat, keep it, and show her friend his cat as hers,
Because he
and
didn't know
invite
it.
him
He
to
knew
have
the cat.
dinner with all of his friends. He wouldn't be afraid of being exposed. He wouldn't
He
feel
wouldn't.
threatened at all.
He wouldn't. He already said it. He's like, I'm never going to get caught.
And
About
so,
greenhouses.
do
Yeah.
you have a theory about why he showed up to meet Jaime and their friend?
Because he's not afraid of that. He would actually be like, okay, she's not going to be here because I killed her.
But why would he go?
Because he is the kind of person that he's not afraid. If someone's going to be like challenging him in any kind of way, and finding him in front of his house that day, it was a way of being challenged. He's like, oh, so he never actually raised the concern about like, hey, I actually saw you the other day in this tea parlor that you would never be in there, that there is no reason for you being there, and now I'm finding you in front of my house. I'm going to be like challenge you. Why don't you come to my place?
I'm sorry, man. There's one person in that scene that's creepy, and it's the guy that's completely obsessed with him, lying about where he is,
Sure.
spying on his house,
I
calling him
don't
all the time. And
look.
then the creepy guy, not the nice rich guy, ended
He's
up
not
murdering
nice.
somebody.
Why is he nice? Just tell me why is he nice?
Because I take his actions as authentic, and you don't see his actions as sincere and authentic.
But what actions are authentic?
Like when he invited him to dinner many times, invited him to meet all of his friends, his real friends, not the fake one.
Do you see them actually just talking with their friends or their friends talking with them? Because there is no point that they actually talk with them. I think that they actually ask them, what do you do for a living, to the second girl, and she's like, oh, I work as a shop clerk. And that's the only interaction. It's more of like, oh, oh, okay. We're going to really move into something
Well,
else.
like I said, everything is ambiguous. Whether the friends were kind or not kind, it's all up in the air. And I think we see what we want to see.
Sure, sure, just call it whatever you want.
And
I
I
mean,
see this like Viridiana.
the what? Oh,
What's that?
sure. You watch like Meridiana. Honestly, for me, it didn't work. It didn't get me engaged. I understand what he's trying to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I
no, I get
understand
that.
your point, but for me, it doesn't work. I mean, I think that Parasite tries to do like a bit more of a social critique that works significantly
Oh,
better
that's
than
an interesting
this.
question. Which one do you think is better?
Parasite.
See, I would say Burning by a landslide
No,
or a long shot. I almost combine those by a long slide.
no. For me, it doesn't. This one doesn't really work about like getting engaged the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe that's a bit more of okay. Americans are going to be a bit more. How do you say? Like focus on easy consumption of a movie. Maybe it's that.
You think this was easily consumed?
No, I think that Parasite is easier to be consumed.
Oh yeah, that's why it was like a mainstream thing. It was able to go into the mainstream. This movie could not. Yes.
Yeah, this movie could not. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think that, for example, spring, summer, autumn, blah blah blah, is like it's also like pretty hard to be consumed, but it
Oh,
has a
that movie was
value.
so good.
But that's the thing is like it's a movie that I can appreciate for the value. About okay, aesthetically it's amazing. The story is nothing that is going to be like changing my world, but this is it doesn't work for me. It's like I understand it, I can see it. It's like when I actually finish watching, it's like okay, I get the part about like the ambiguity, about like not knowing if the guy is imagining, if he's actually just obsessing about the other guy, but it doesn't work for me. But maybe it does work with a combination because for you is that the guy is nice. For me, the guy is not nice at all. is an
My
asshole.
husband is actually a psychologist, and I would be interested in hearing his perspective on this.
Maybe that can be your second opinion if you want.
Sergio.
But you should actually check for another opinion, so we are not only three.
Husband can be third opinion.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I would recommend it to him. So I think that I should score it first. Besides, that is my turn for score it first.
Yeah, it's your turn, right?
So
I know my score.
Oh yeah, that's great. I also knew mine. My score is a 6.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're dead to me, and that's not the White Claw talking.
What is the New York Times then?
I try not to give ratings because it's
I
redundant.
know, but you give a seal of approval with the Blake speak.
9. This was a 9.
Holy shit, man. Okay. Certainly we watch a different movie.
Yeah, I don't think we've disagreed this much in a long time.
Huh? Let's see. What was the difference? The difference was a 2.5. Yeah. The closest thing was like Bad Blood. You give it a 6, I give it a 4. No, The Robber. The Robber.
Oh, I love that.
I know you do. 7.5. I gave it a 4. So there was like a 3.5 difference. That was the largest difference.
I'm always giving higher scores than you. Always.
No, that's true. Even if I pick the movie, you're still like just giving higher scores. But no, man. I mean, I wish that I
What
liked
about
it.
Celine Dion Goes Boating? What did I
Celine
give that
Dion
one?
goes about. I think that was pretty bad from both of us. You gave it a 2.5. I gave it a 3. That was probably one of the few cases that I give it a higher score.
Well, what are
God.
we going to watch next?
And so the next one, I'm going to think about it because the next one that we had already picked up, it was Memory of a Murder. But
yeah.
maybe we could take a break from a Korean cinema.
We've been watching a lot of that.
Yeah.
I like the taste of kimchi in my mouth.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll think about it. But in any case, I will let you know. Maybe just talking a couple of days about it. All right.
All right.
Well, so that's it for our podcast today.
That's it. Thanks, man.
Thank you so
Wash your
much.
hands.
Thank you for listening. Bye.